This red 1999 Mustang Cobra was sitting behind a trailer with a bad engine. Someone had seen the car there and had kept their eye on it, and they decided to inquire about the car and see if they could buy it because they were interested in buying the car for a cheap LS swap drag car. They were able to get in contact with the owner of the car, and they looked it over and they found out that it was a really nice low mile Cobra. It only had 60,000 miles on it, and they decided they didn't want to buy it for what they were intending it for. And they looked it over and thought, wow, this is really nice. It's only a 60,000 mile car. It's in really good shape, and it would be a shame to hack this up into a race car. So they looked it over and they thought about it, and they thought about someone they knew who might enjoy this Cobra in a better way and restore it. So they contacted somebody who has a really nice screaming yellow '04 Mach 1, and that person ended up buying the car, and he decided that he would like to make a Cobra R replica out of this 99 Cobra. So he made a deal, he bought the car, and he started acquiring Cobra R style parts. He also did some work to the car that it needed, but then the car ended up sitting untouched for several months. And then after that, the guy started selling the Cobra R specific parts, and he started to change his mind on the project. Well, at that point, the guy contacted his friend Wyatt, who is the person who owns the car now, and started working a deal with him. He said, "Are you interested in a Cobra project?" And Wyatt had seen a 1998 bright Atlantic blue Cobra locally for sale, and he assumed that's the car that he was talking about. So he asked him, "Are you talking about the BAB 98 Cobra?" And the guy said, "No." He then sent him the picture of this 99 Cobra, and Wyatt was really excited. He said he was concerned about some things about the car. When you buy a roller like this, you're always concerned on what's there, what's not there. Sometimes engine harnesses are cut, sometimes they're missing everything that you would need to nickel and dime you to get the car back together. So there were some questions he had, and the first thing he noticed was that the 9901 front Cobra bumper was gone. In this picture you can see it has an 0304 Cobra style bumper, but the 9901 Cobra bumper was missing. And they got to talking, but they found out that all the body parts were there. Besides that, the IRS, the independent rear suspension, was still there. The amber taillights were still there. As he put it, they had not been robbed off the car. And I like that because 9901 Cobras are always missing their amber taillights, and people are always robbing them off these cars. So that, to me, was actually one of the first things I noticed when I looked through these pictures, and I thought, wow, it still has the amber taillights. That's actually pretty neat. And so he did find out that it had a Roush body kit and a Pro Charger at some point, and that now he was just determined to get this car and bring it home. The next hurdle he had to accomplish was convincing his wife, and this was actually very surprising. He said after talking it over with his wife and discussing the plans of him putting a spare engine in the car that he had and then selling it, she stopped him, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "I need a hobby. If it's coming home, we are working on it together, and it will be my car." So not only was he surprised by this, he said he was ecstatic. After getting over what he thought was going to be the biggest hurdle, he got back in contact with his friend and set up a time to go get the car. He borrowed his dad's trailer and hooked it up to his 4-valve swap to F-150 and made the 3-hour trip to get the car. He knew that not only did he have a car to pick up and bring home, but a whole bunch of parts, and he knew it was going to be a long day. So he got to the house and he started talking with his friend about the 4-valve swapped F-150 and about his friend's Mach 1. And finally they got to the point where they were going to open the garage door, and when they did, he was so shocked when the door opened to see this disassembled engine laying on the ground in front of him with a pair of transmissions, wiring harness, interior parts, brake parts, anything Cobra related. It was all boxed up there. But the most important part was the car, and he said it looked much better in person. So that is great news. It was a great deal. They spent the next hour and a half verifying all the parts, talking about everything, loading it into the car, and then they made their deal and said their goodbyes, and it was time to take the car home. So here's a picture of the F-150 pulling the 99 Cobra home, and they were really excited. So here's some better pictures of the car just to look it over, and this is the interior, everything that was all piled up in the car. It looked really good, and it actually had some nice newer racing seats in it. And here's the odometer with the 60,000 miles on it. Now, even though it had these newer seats and everything, they later bought an '04 GT that was an interior upgrade package car, and they swapped the whole interior over. The GT was wrecked, but it had a really nice dark charcoal interior. So here's some pictures of the car. You can see how nice it looks. And the car was just really a good buy. You can see the stereo even has a newer radio in it that has the sticker still there on it. I'm not sure if that's original to the car. There's a couple of things about that head unit that don't look correct to me for a 99 Cobra with the mock audio. But regardless, really nice setup there, and here it is next to his black Cobra, and now it's time to start working on the car. So once they got home, they pushed the car into the single bay garage and began working on it. His wife and him spent a lot of time together in the driveway and in the garage, putting the car together. She didn't get to help as much as she wanted to, but she did learn a lot by holding the flashlight and being there, handling the wrenches and listening to him talk about the car and what he was doing. Over the next 2 weeks, the car was put together, and they were hoping to have it running by his wife's birthday, and that did happen, although the car wasn't registered and legal yet, but they were still able to drive the car around in their driveway. So here are some of the pictures of the engine swap and everything. You can see a lot of hard work and a lot of parts everywhere. Really cool to see the engine going back in the car finally and getting it all in there. I like when a car is at this point, because then you just start plugging things in. So fortunately, everything was all working well. The car started up, but they did have some issues to battle. There were a couple drivability issues, choppy idle, low power. After looking over everything with the tuner, he unmarried the tuner from the car and updated it with no luck, hoping that that would fix things. It did not have an EGR system on the car. That's the exhaust gas recirculation. EGR really doesn't do a whole lot except for give you a check engine light when you remove it. For the most part, it's not that big of a deal. But he was determined to go ahead and reinstall the EGR, see if that would help things. But the car still ran really terrible. He said he actually felt like it ran worse now that he added the EGR back onto the car. Now, Wyatt is a diesel tech, and so he figured he would bring home some of his diagnostic material, software, the things that he had access to, and before spending more money on another tune or anything, he would try to get into there and look around. As soon as he hooked up the scan tool, it kept prompting him that the car was a 1997 E150 with a 5.4 liter. So he said nervously he pulled back the kick panel to inspect the PCM to see how much trouble he was going to be in. For all he knew, somebody had swapped in a whole different computer. Now the ECM strategy sticker was correct on the car. It was actually a revised model that was installed in some 99 Cobras back when they had the power issues. So fortunately the computer was correct for the car. And luckily for him, he was able to reprogram the ECM. And after updating the software, the car never ran better. That is a wonderful success. I was so happy to read that. Very good for him. Any minor things left for the car, and just included the interior swap and making it look better. They actually had a set of bullet seats for it, and the new interior they got from that '04 GT that was wrecked was an interior upgrade package setup too, so that was really nice. They put a Mach 1 hood on it, and he he was letting the wife drive it around and build her confidence with the 5-speed. So the car has come together very nicely. Mach 1 hood and shaker setup all worked right and everything. As far as future plans for the car, they'd really like to get the original 99-01 front bumper back on the car. And they really like the side skirts on the 35th anniversary GTs. They're actually very similar to normal side skirts, but then they twist towards the back and go flat. They're kind of interesting. So they'd like to get that all together for the car, but they don't want to get some parts and have them painted and then get the other parts and have them painted. They want to get everything all together and then get it all painted. So that'll be very interesting to watch, and I think this is a really great project. Something really quick that I wanted to mention that was cool, they were saying that was a fun fact, was that the 99 Cobra and his 97 Cobra, the engines in these cars now were both on the niche line made by the same person. One of the people there was Bob, and it's signed on the valve cover there. And so they thought that was pretty cool that that Bob guy had his hand on both of those cars' engines at one time. So I think that's something really neat to know. But anyway, I really think this was a great project. I think it was an awesome job saving this car. Like he had said, and like I had noticed, those amber taillights are lucky to have survived in that car where they belong. And obviously the front bumper didn't, but hopefully one day he can get another one for it. But it doesn't look bad the way it is either right now, but it's a very nice car. It's a lower mile nice car. I'm glad it was saved. It was going to be turned into a Cobra R replica. It was going to be turned into an LS drag car, and I think it found the right owner. So I want to thank everybody for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe as usual, and stay tuned for more Mustang content.